when I buy the bar. Cheers with Ted Dawson. He brushed me wrong, I have him slipping, grazing in the grass. She got an all your body, easy slipping when I smash. She wanna feel the fire, Peebo Bryson. I tell her Jula pick up the pieces on this average white band. I see mixed brown dope, it ain't tan. Damn, what he talking about? Money a Muslim before they come and chalk him out. That's what my talk be about. You ain't feeling what I'm saying, man. Get out the car and walk it out. You saving me gas, me money, and not wasting my fucking time. Can't you see I'm on my fucking grind? Pretending like they not, but they are. So tell them get off mine. They say it's wrong, but we doing right. We moving right, we in a loop, ducking, moving like shit. From noon to night, it's just the goons and the crew is tight. What you doing tonight? Just me and you when the mood is right. If you look what's right, cause we out here. And my team always getting that green. Yeah, cause we out here. And my team always getting that green. Yeah, cause we out here. We out here. Yeah. We ain't the vicious type, but we got plenty toys, nigga, like we sponsor Fisher Price. My bars and my voice get your sister hype, and I stay in the kitchen cutting raw like a kitchen knife. Make sure the raw pure and you dish it right. Fucking with the law, don't get caught by them flicking lights. I pray I make it every day and every freaking night. And they say that I used to do it wrong, I had to get it right. Stack of bread and that's pesos. Stack of bread just like Lego. I got the toast, so please, bitch, just let go of my ego. Double up for 100 G. Bleed money, that's paper. Put 30 long in my dungarees, increase my daily haters. And we out here, we out here. Them downstairs, they come out clear. Diamonds shine like a Montclair. And when it's time to ride, we take out chairs. Mopping in the chairless whip. Chopper with extended clip. Bullets touch your whole body, and that's what I call intimate. They say it's wrong, but we doing right. We moving right, we in a loop, ducking, moving like shit. From noon to night, it's just the goons and the crew is.
Sleep is harder to find. You feel tired all the time. The Wi-Fi barely works. Sharp pains come out of nowhere. The days feel shorter. The constant fear that something bad is coming. Strange things keep happening, yet everyone acts like everything is normal.
Is Houska Castle really a portal to hell? The people who built it weren't trying to keep something out. They were trying to keep something in. Most castles were built to defend from outsiders, but Houska Castle in the Czech Republic was built in the middle of nowhere. There's not a water source, there's not strategic value, no easy access, yet it was heavily protected against attack. And people believe this is because it was built on top of a massive hole in the ground. A bottomless pit that locals believed led straight to hell. And the goal wasn't to protect the land, it was to trap whatever was inside. When the hole was first discovered, prisoners were offered pardons if they agreed to be lowered inside. The first volunteer lasted seconds before screaming to be pulled out. And the really creepy thing is that when they got him up, he was reportedly aged beyond recognition. His hair had turned white. He was rambling about creatures with bat-like wings crawling up the walls. And that's when people started to refer to it as the gateway to hell. Even creepier is that the castle's chapel is built directly over that hole, almost like it's a seal. And the windows are fake, it's just stone painted to look like windows. There was never any intention of anyone actually living here. It was a containment zone, not a home. Visitors over the years have reported seeing black figures walking the walls, hearing screams from the pit below, and seeing winged creatures flying overhead. There have also been reports of animal mutilations nearby, but no signs of predators. Honestly, I think they were trying to contain something that they didn't understand. And what creeps me out the most is that this pit is still there. Houska Castle is literally open to visitors. Would you stand over the gateway to hell and look down? I just posted a new video going through a serial killer victim's diary.
Scary and gross history facts you didn't know. Catherine of Aragon's heart was black when she died. Queen Elizabeth I applied her own urine on her face. Henry VIII ulcers were so bad that they could be smelled from 3 rooms away. Ramesses II married 6 of his daughters and had over 100 children. Genghis Khan killed so many people that the carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere were significantly decreased. Henry VIII and his wives were all related by a common ancestor. Charles II of Spain was the result of 200 years of inbreeding. And during his autopsy, they found that he only had 1 testicle, which was hard as coal, and that his heart was as small as a peppercorn. Mary Tudor was almost killed by her own father. Elizabeth I had disturbingly long fingers. Henry VIII exploded in his casket.
About you, and it's no one else like you is what they're getting. Positive vibes only. Shout out to King Saul's boss in the building.
The guy tried to strangle his wife and ended up getting knocked out by his 13-year-old stepson. He got beat up so bad they had to blur the image because his face is just bashed in with cuts and lacerations all over the place. So what exactly happened here? Let's talk about it. This happened in Foley, Alabama. Daniel Hernandez Lopez got into an argument with his wife and started strangling her. The police were called, and then he went outside. His 13-year-old stepson was outside, and now they started arguing. He threw a bicycle at the 13-year-old, and the 13-year-old punched him so many times and so hard that he knocked him unconscious before the police could even arrive. Like I said, when the cops came, the guy was knocked out, so they had to wait until the next day to arrest him. Apparently, he was on narcotics and other substances when they found him, so that maybe is why the fight ensued. He is going to face an assault charge and a strangulation charge. I'm curious to see if they throw in any kind of other assault charges, because he did kind of throw a bike at the 13-year-old stepson. So shout out to the stepson for stepping up and protecting his mother like this. This could have been a very dangerous situation. I do wonder what the sentence is going to be, though. My guess is 10, 15 years. Guys, want to see the actual picture that's unblurred? Just Google man accused of strangling his wife arrested after getting knocked out by 13-year-old stepson. There's a ton of news channels covering this as well. There was just swelling all over his face and everything like that in the unblurred image. His lips were super swollen too. This guy got beat up pretty good by that 13-year-old kid. Narcotics or substances. Every news article is saying something different. Some are saying it's narcotics. Others are saying it's illicit drugs. And then others are saying he was just drunk. Whatever it may be, he was on something. About the story in the comments section. Do you guys think the 13-year-old should get charged at all? In my opinion, this is self-defense for him. The guy threw a bike at him and he was protecting his mother. And he was probably the only one there to protect his mother. So, if he didn't, she might have died if this guy went over the edge.
I'm about to sleep over in one of the cursed, most haunted and demonic places in the United Kingdom, the Ancient Ram Inn. So let me show you around. Here's a mummified cat found in the walls to ward off evil spirits. I don't think it worked though. So this place was built over an ancient pagan burial ground. They did find skeletons down here and a dagger that they were killed with. These just seem necessary, right? This barn was built on in the 1800s and a 7-foot shadow figure has been sighted in here. Apparitions are super common on this staircase. Then we've got the witch's room. A lady who was hiding out here was actually burned at the stake. But there's also a black cat and a couple of kids who haunt the bedroom as well. And the bishop's room, probably the most evil. This is where satanic worship occurred. And there's an incubus and a succubus here. Why am I doing this again?
I thought I had heard a lot of stories about teachers being weird to students, but this one is next level. This is former principal of Northport High School in Florida, George Kenny, and this is a still from one of the hypnosis sessions that he would do on students in film. During these sessions, students would lose control of their bodies often and would fall forward onto his lap, which was very strange. But also, they usually didn't remember what happened afterwards. And as weird as that sounds, it gets a lot weirder when you realize that 3 of the students he was hypnotizing all died the same semester under very strange circumstances. Also, I cover a lot of stuff that's dark but interesting, and I have a lot of documentary recommendations if you want to follow along. One of these students was Marcus. He had been going to get hypnotized every Friday because he wanted help with visualization for sports games. Now, Marcus was driving with his girlfriend one afternoon when all of a sudden his body completely froze and he crashed the car and sadly passed away. The coroner ruled that he did not have a seizure. There was nothing that indicated he had some sort of medical emergency. And there was another student named Wesley who was also being hypnotized by the principal. He had been seeing Dr. Kinney for anxiety, and one day he came home and his mom noticed that he looked like he was in a trance and he didn't say anything to her. And a few hours later, he tragically took his own life. And something similar happened to a student named Brittany who had been using hypnosis to improve her test scores and then also tragically took her own life. Brittany's death, Dr. Kinney came forward and said that he had not been hypnotizing her, but of course, a tape came out that proved he was, and also that she was not remembering her sessions after. And Brittany's parents don't necessarily think that the hypnosis led to her taking her own life, but they think that it maybe made her psychologically vulnerable and put her in a trance that allowed for that to happen. This whole case is so wild. There's an episode on it on ID right now in the Curious Case of docuseries that they're doing. There's also, I believe, an HBO documentary that's out called Look Into My Eyes that goes further into this case.
On. Who else, man? Huh? Sauce the boss, man. Of course, Sauce.
About you, and it's no one else like you is what they're getting. Positive vibes only. Shout out to King Saul's boss in the building.
Artifacts from her life, like this prayer book with her actual handwriting in it. Her childhood home survives. It was built in the 13th century and it's still open today. We even have the spot of her execution marked. And at the Tower of London, you can find this memorial on the spot where the scaffold was erected for her. But portraits of the second wife of King Henry VIII are extremely difficult to come by. Most original portraits of her that were made when she was queen, especially state portraits that were commissioned by the king, would have been destroyed or lost over time, especially after she was executed on false charges just to get her out of power. And the portraits that we do have that we're familiar with were actually painted decades after she died. And they were often based off of biased information that described her as hideous or a witch with a really long nose, 6 fingers, all of that. The only thing that I would think comes close to something that was made during her lifetime is this sketch by Hans Holbein, but we can't even say that this is 100% her. But what about this? This is a hand-colored copy of a portrait that was labeled as Lady Burgavny, who lived from 1375 to 1435. But this is not fashion that would have matched women of that time. This is how people from Lady Burgavny's time would have dressed, and even if it was a little closer to what Anne Boleyn would have worn, it still would not have been the same as that portrait. I'm not the first person to say that this could be Anne Boleyn. It's been brought up many times going back to 2016, and Alison Weir, the famous Tudor historian, actually brought up some really good points after she was invited to view the original portrait. In other words, this is a copy of an original portrait that is in a private collection that Alison Weir was contacted to come and view in person, meaning it's not lost. And Alison Weir brought up some really good points, particularly the initials on the collar, as well as the A's embroidered on the headdress. I'm going to take it a step further. Look at this side-by-side of Anne Boleyn with her daughter Elizabeth I. This is a portrait we are familiar with of Anne Boleyn, but they don't really look that similar. How about now? The narrow face, the long nose, and the eyes. Both of these women have the same deep-set eyes, which I don't believe Elizabeth inherited from her father. I do also believe that Hans Holbein's sketches are the most realistic depictions of these people, and I'm not seeing the eyes even in this sketch. Another thing I want to point out is that in this great hall, which was built while Henry VIII was courting Anne Boleyn, it's where they would have had their first dance, they would have had parties here. All within the woodwork, there would have been symbols of their union, which were destroyed after her beheading. Except somebody forgot one, and the A for Anne matches the A in the headdress. And I don't know if that's been pointed out before. So even though this is not an original topic and it's been talked about, I do want to drop my 2 cents that I do believe this is a copy of a lost original portrait of Anne Boleyn, which isn't actually lost and should be scanned or photographed for libraries around the world to analyze. Here are my references. I hope you have a great day.
People thought this was just a normal makeup tutorial until she started hitting her head repeatedly onto the table. In 2014, a YouTube channel uploaded a strange video titled Party Makeup by Nikki. First, the video seemed completely normal. A girl named Nikki is sitting in front of the camera explaining how she does her makeup before going to a party. She's cheerful, smiling, and talking to the audience just like any other typical beauty tutorial on YouTube. Then something strange starts to happen. On the left side of the screen, random images start appearing. They look like screenshots from Facebook, almost like someone is scrolling through Facebook. Then it cuts to CCTV footage showing a dark, empty room. First, Nikki is continuing smiling and doing her tutorial like nothing is happening. Then all of a sudden, her expression changes. Nikki goes from happy and upbeat to completely serious, staring straight ahead with a blank expression on her face. Then, without warning, she begins slamming her head onto the table over and over again. It's a red substance mess, and then the video ends. This YouTube video spread across the internet pretty fast, and many people were left confused and disturbed. Many people were left wondering, is this woman okay? Was she possessed somehow? Or was this entire thing fake? Yes, the video was fake, and the woman in the video is actress Nakia Seacrest, and she is okay. It was simply a short horror skit created to look like a real YouTube tutorial. Even though the video was completely staged, it still creeped out a lot of people because it felt so realistic. And to this day, Party Makeup by Nikki is still shared as one of the scariest videos uploaded to YouTube.
When someone gets beheaded, does the body experience the loss of a head? Or does the detached head experience the absence of the body in a brief moment of fleeting consciousness? Or does everything just instantly go dark? It's questions like these that keep me up all night. Public beheadings by guillotine were all the rage in 18th century France, and they actually ran a test for this very question. Death by guillotine was completely legal in France until 1981, with the final legal beheading in human history in 1977, just about 50 years ago. At the height of the French Revolution in 1794, French chemist Antoine Lavoisier was convicted of tax fraud and also of lacing tobacco with water, sentenced to public execution by way of beheading. As a final plea, he requested if he could run an experiment with his execution, you know, for science. Man, that is some hardcore dedication. Imagine being on death row and being like, you know what, let's test something out. Before his execution, he tells his servants that he would try to blink as much as he could after his head got chopped. So he gets guillotined, and his servants reported that his head actually continued to blink for 15 seconds after decapitation. So that's myth confirmed, right? The detached head must continue to experience consciousness with the absence of the body. I mean, it seems pretty obvious. The head is where the brain is, but doctors at the time claimed the blinks were merely involuntary muscle twitches and had nothing to do with consciousness. But then in 1905, Dr. Gabriel Bourriot observed another decapitated head after an execution in Orleans, France. He realized it too was twitching, but when he called out the beheaded man's names, the head's eyes moved and stared directly into the doctor for about 30 seconds. Blinking, sure, we can let that slide, but eyes moving directly towards someone calling your name sounds a lot more like consciousness to me. Scientists even say that a decapitated head technically has enough oxygen stored for metabolism to continue for at least 10 seconds. So it seems like it's possible that a decapitated head might actually live out its final seconds of life as a standalone head before fading away. What would you do during that time?
I just got back from watching the brand new A24 horror movie Undertone, and I'm gonna be honest, this might be one of the scariest movies I've seen all year. The movie follows our main character, Evie, who's a paranormal podcast host who moves back home to take care of her dying mother. And while isolated in the home, her and her co-host, Justin, end up receiving 10 mysterious audio recordings from a couple who is experiencing a haunting. And once she opens these recordings, everything that's happening to this couple is now happening to her in her real life. Possession audio, which is something we have not seen in horror, I don't think, ever. Now, going into the movie, I had massive expectations because it's currently being marketed as the scariest movie you'll ever hear. And I'd be lying to you if I said every single noise I've heard ever since getting back from the theater, I think is something bigger than it is. I'll hear a knock around my house, and all of a sudden I think somehow the audio that I heard in this movie is now possessing me in my real life, and I'm kind of scared. The other cool part about this movie is every time you think there's going to be a jump scare, it's swapped for some audio haunting, some odd noise you'd hear around your home. That definitely triggers you. All in all, if you're not doing anything this weekend and are a massive fan of horror movies, I suggest you go and check out Undertone because I don't think you'll be disappointed. And I've said it once and I'll say it again, as horror fans, we are being fed so very well this year, and it's just the start. Don't forget to like and follow for more, and come back after you see the movie to let me know what you think.
Perplexing Plot Twists Part 1. In 2008, an Australian couple named Julian and Carolyn were kidnapped by a satanic cult. Members of the cult threw them in a van and drove them deep into the forest where they were stripped, blindfolded, tied up, and abandoned. Convinced that they would die, Julian suggested that the couple get married under the eyes of God and consummate their relationship. After a week of wandering through the woods, the couple finally made it back to their hometown. Julian was immediately
Sauce the boss, yo, sauce the boss, of course. Simple sauce. Back on. Who else, man? Huh?
Creepy
Sauce
last
the
words
boss,
people said
man.
right
Of
before
course,
dying.
sauce.
One evening, Jim Woodford, a wealthy atheist man who had contracted a nerve disease, was surveying a property that he wanted to sell. He had become quite dependent on painkillers as a way to manage his pain. He was sitting in his truck watching the sunset when he decided to take more painkillers. He said that he waited for the relief to set in, but instead of relief, he felt like his feet were on fire. He said that he looked down to see if his truck was on fire, and then the feeling of fire spread rapidly throughout his whole body and seized his lungs. He said that he realized that he had overdosed. Jim said that all of a sudden he became hyper aware of all of his shortcomings in life. And although he hadn't prayed since he was a kid, he cried out the words, "God forgive me," before collapsing onto the steering wheel. Jim said that his spirit left his body and plunged into a realm of darkness, where the land looked scorched. As he walked, he came to what looked like a pit. The walls of the pit looked like black coal, he said. As he looked down, he saw the dim flicker of a red light. He then heard the sound of two large doors creaking open. He said that a large demonic creature that had a body made of fire and smoke began crawling out of the pit. He said that it was so hideous and evil looking that not even Hollywood could replicate it. And it was sniffing as if it was searching for him. It finally locked eyes with him. Jim said that he could just feel its hatred for him and all of mankind. It started crawling faster towards Jim. He said that the creature got out of the pit and stood before him. It knew his name. It said, "Jim, we're here for you. This is your time with us." Jim was terrified and he cried out, "God help me." Just then, Jim said that the creature was struck with a beam of light and 3 angels appeared and saved him. He said that they took him to heaven and one of the angels reviewed Jim's life with him. Jim realized that he had not done enough in life and that he was very selfish and materialistic. Jim said that he also encountered Jesus and he told him that it was not yet his time. Jim said that he was sent back to his body and he woke up in the hospital. He had been clinically dead and on life support. When he spoke to the neurologist after, he said that Jim had no brain activity. After Jim recovered, he became a Christian and wrote a best-selling book called Heaven, An Unexpected Journey.
Photos everyone has to see before they die. NASA scientist, 1961. First Disneyland ticket, 1955. Hollywood sign when it was new, 1920.
Sauce the boss, yo. Sauce the boss, of course. December sauce.
Gas masks.
Sauce the boss, yo. Sauce.
One of the last Titanic photos. The first McDonald's restaurant. Madonna, Sting, and Tupac together. Albert Einstein's office after his passing. Columbia Pictures logo model 1992.
These two girls had a plan to get rid
Sauce
of their
the
male
boss.
class.
It's his birthday. Everybody wish him happy birthday.
Oh, this is big right here, y'all. Everybody wish Sauce, the
man.
official boss.
We're back once again.
Happy birthday, man.
You know, it's a beautiful
Let's
day.
go. Let's see it in the
If you feeling
timeline.
down, just get you a bag of that.
I like the.
Just light up.
I like the.
Can't
I like
fight
the
him
wish.
unless they head rock. Can't greet him with 2, only the 3rd eye. Killer vision, PSER, rent hospital. Okay,
I like
let
the
me
wish.
on this track.
Sauce the
Accident to
boss.
operas. Conscience,
A happy birthday.
unconscious. Flow riding on my train.
I like to give a big shout to Happy Boss. Somebody said Happy
Albert
Boss.
Einstein.
Charlie Fields.
Imagination is more important than knowledge, therefore I'm flying off the tracks.
I like how that
Extraterrestrial
sounds.
one, I got it on my lab when the land so
I like to give a big happy birthday to
They fear what they don't
Sauce the
understand.
boss.
I forgive them cause they don't really know
Feel like
no
we
better.
in the
Hope
rooftop
let
or
them
something,
walk
you know
on
what I mean?
water. I'm dancing in the middle of the
I like to give a big shout out to Benny Chapel.
How bad do you want
The official
success? I
capo.
was holding my breath unconsciously. The conscious me
Shout out to
woke
Sauce
up
the
and came
boss,
up for
man.
air.
Happy
I turned
birthday.
160 to the bone, but ain't dancing with chocolate.
Oh, we gonna
Guaranteed
quit.
them in the dream. Fight miss, Mr. Clean. Dirty talk, come shots, Listerine. The devil tried to catch me slipping, but my 3rd eye
Call me
open. I see
Megatron
when I don't
Ron.
know. 40 bro,